right, my honeys. I don't really feel like I need to wait until an end review to bring this up. I wanted to offer some constructive criticism for this game. I'm almost finished with it, but I think that the dev team, and if so, if anybody can reach out to the dev team or what have you, I could help. I mean, maybe some of my critiques and advice would help them out with this game. Okay, so there is a problem with Cronos, and you can see it in the PlayStation trophies, right? Most players are sticking around to the end of the game, so it goes from like 70, and as the story progresses, you see 50% did this, 40% did that, 30% did this. Game Plus Mo trophy pops up. Only 5% of players are finishing the game in Game Plus mode. So what's going on? Exhaustion, probably, is what's going on. So why are players exhausted? The problem begins with how inconsistent combat is. People could say stingy ammo, but I think if the devs cannot figure out how to make the combat feel more consistent, how you can actually feel your weapons leveling up, it's you don't always feel it because the combat's so inconsistent. Then what they need to do is they need to drop more ammo for the player, but most importantly, ammo for weapons they're using. Now you could say, well, you could pick up the ammo and you could take it back to the store and you could exchange that for energy and maybe use it in the store. Yeah, you could, except for the fact that the devs don't put enough chemicals and metals in the store for you to craft the ammo you need. Exploring the world is another issue. The boxes, right? You got the yellow boxes here and yellow boxes there. There are so many times throughout my playthrough, which it's almost over technically, so many times I did not go over here and I did not go over there to break these boxes or those boxes. Specifically, one example, you're in the subway station. There's a big boy slamming against the floor like he just broke his crayon, right? So the game's trying to entice you to go in there and see what boxes he's got over there. And you have to remember that this game there's a chance you could break those boxes and nothing will be in them. And it is a game of chance because I've gone back and I've played certain levels and I've noticed that some boxes that maybe only contain one thing or contain nothing actually now have things, right? So each playthrough, you don't know which boxes have stuff. So in terms of exploring arenas where enemies are going to become popping up out of the ground, you see boxes over here and boxes over there, but the game doesn't guarantee you're rewarded for going over there, but it will guarantee you're going to wake something up to deal with, right? So they need to get rid of boxes that don't have anything, or they need to make sure there's always something in those boxes. You always need to make sure that the game is catering to the arsenal that the player has on them. I'm getting tired of picking up assault rifle ammo. I don't need assault rifle ammo. I'm not playing that way. The game encourages the player to play their way with whatever weapons they want to use, but then is constantly throwing ammo at you for guns you're not using. The game anticipates you are now using those weapons, and it's depriving you of ammo that you need for the weapons you have. Okay, so that kind of adds to the whole stingy ammo issue, right? They need to deal with that. All right, let us trade that ammo in on raw materials that we can craft ammo we need, or make sure that the game is dropping enough ammo to where even if it is dropping ammo you're not using, you're still getting enough ammo back, right? Because goodness knows when you're locked in an arena with enemies and two shots takes this one out, but then you get another enemy, exact same enemy type at same distance from you, and you're shooting them the same way you shot that one, and he's taking 3 or 4 shots. That kind of inconsistency becomes a real problem when you go to check the floor of the arena and there's not enough ammo to replace what you just lost. Not because you done something wrong, but because the game can't make up its mind on how much damage one enemy should take over another. So these are issues, right? So I imagine it leaves some players exhausted, at the end, and maybe they do want to play Game Plus mode and see how the game feels when they're playing in Game Plus mode, but they're so exhausted from the initial experience, they just kind of walk away. That's not great. You want them to return. You want them to make different choices. You want them to stay in the game. A game that's 15 hours long in some cases. You need also, like, this game did not need to be 15 hours long, right? It didn't need to be. This is coming from somebody who's, I think, probably spent about 28, 30 hours playing the game, revisiting certain levels because I wasn't confident enough to carry on. I wanted to go back, revisit those levels, and kind of really get better. But it's hard to get better when combat's so inconsistent. How do you get better at something that's so iffy? So, it would have probably been better if you had tightened the game up to be about 10, 12 hours long. I mean, you could have gutted out 15% of audio logs and maybe 20% of the paid pieces of paper that you wanted the player to chase after, and it would have taken away nothing from the story, I don't feel like. I mean, I'm listening to everything, I'm reading everything, and I can honestly tell you some of the lore that they're leaving for you to read, it either feels like it's rehashing the same newspaper issues that you found at the beginning of the game. Some of the traveler recordings are not necessary. They're not adding anything to the lore, not really. Uh, Letters and stuff, some of that is not adding anything. It's just, unnecessary, right? It only adds more padding having to chase after these things in a game that's already teetering on too much padding, right? Now, some of the padding I don't mind because I am enjoying the game, right? But if you're trying to get through the game, to at least get through it just once, the padding might not be setting right with you because of the inconsistent combat and how you're just not really getting the ammo you need, getting stuck between a rock and a hard place too often. You know, I can understand where people are coming from. And I think that the dev team could easily go in and maybe not so much tweak the combat, but just be a little bit more giving with ammo. Adding more materials to the store so the player has an opportunity to exchange ammo for resources to craft the ammo they need, right? I think these could be like simple solutions, right? But if they ever attempt to do another Cronos, they might want to think about tightening up their, I don't know. It kind of it kind of feels like Chronos the New Dawn could have easily, like the way this whole game play with the extra padding and stuff like that. It feels like that's what you do with the second game in your franchise. The first game should feel a lot tighter in story, pacing, level design, right? And maybe the second game starts to get a little fat, right? But there's like this game's a bit fat straight out of the gate. Um, so anyway, yeah, those are my critiques. Combat inconsistency can be rectified with more stuff in the store for you to buy if you need it. Uh, Being able to exchange ammo for weapons you're not using uh, in a way where you can exchange them out for materials that you can craft. The boxes where nothing is in them it's not cool. Nobody's going to want to go over here or go over there knowing that they're going to get ambushed for a box that may not have anything in it. That's not cool. It's not cool. So I'm just saying, like, these are my critiques. I don't really feel like I have to wait for the actual review to come out. But I will say that these issues off the back end of the game are really starting to sort of weigh on the experience a little bit, right? Even for me. So, I mean, initially I was like, man, this is a 9.5 out of 10. It's a 9.5 out of 10, guys. Uh, Looking back after like almost getting ready to finish the game, I would say it's more like an 8.5 out of 9. It kind of fluctuates between 8.5 out of 9 for me, right? Because some of the issues that it's starting to kind of like drag the experience down, right? The lore dumping, um, putting all these resources to beef up the weapons you want to play with, only for the weapons to still feel very inconsistent because there's something wrong with the combat. The trying to read every note and freaking break every box and just it's not really hitting the way it should, right? Be like, oh my gosh, there's a box. Break it open. There's nothing. There should be something in there. It's never cool. Like if imagine going into a room with a big baddie on the floor and he gets up and you have to fight him in this little room only to realize that the boxes he was guarding had what? One shotgun shell in there. Get out of here. You know what I mean? So, yeah. I don't know. I might do a follow-up video where we talk about the story, but I guess we will make this a review. I'm gonna finish the game. I shouldn't have too much longer to go. I'm gonna say 8.5 out of 9. And I'm gonna say that would probably be if they could get the combat issues under control. If they could get the combat issues under control, I would say 8.5 out of 9. That's where the potential lies for this particular title. I wanted it to be 9.5, right? Because it was really dazzling me at first, but yeah, some of these issues are really they're dragging it down, even for me. All right, and I gush over games like this, don't I? So anyway, that's all I got for now. You all have a wonderful morning, afternoon, or evening. For the few people who are actually watching the playthrough, I hope you guys are having a great time with it. I'm I'm impressing myself that I was able to pull off a blind playthrough of this game. I wasn't for sure if I could do it. I'd be like, well, what if I'm beating my head against the wall for 20 freaking minutes on a boss? Nobody's going to want to watch that. But so far, knock on wood, gods be good. The playthrough's been going. It's been a lot of fun. I'm putting the videos up. Anybody who cares to want to see it, I'm having a lot of fun. I would love to see them to continue to work on this title because it still has some rough edges that need to be sorted out. And so yeah, I hope the dev team at some point, I don't know how to properly, maybe I can find their website or something and I can send an email to them, maybe give them some ideas of how they can iron this game out to where players will finish it and then come back for the game plus. They won't be so burnt out on the experience that they just walk away and leave it. Obviously, they don't want them to do that, right? They want them to go back and play game plus mode and experience different things that they didn't get a chance to experience the first time. I don't know. Anyway, as I said, that's all I got for now. You all have a wonderful morning, afternoon, or evening, and I will catch you on the flip side.